I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Leaders by Studio H. Leaders is a two-player abstract strategy game in which players are attempting to capture the opposing leader. Before we dive into the game, thank you to AllPlay for being a channel sponsor. More about them at the end of this video. In Leaders, what you're going to be doing is you're trying to capture your opposing leader, but you can't do it on your own. Sure, you start with a leader, each side has their leader, but then you can be drafting from a roster of characters, because on your turn you can go ahead and take actions with your characters, and then draft a new character until you are at maximum capacity. You can only have a few characters in the game. You're going to take your leader, and let's say move it. Your basic leader moves a space. There you go. You're one step closer to capturing, but also one step closer to being caught. But then you end your turn by drafting one of these characters. For example, I'm a big fan of the archer. We're going to take the archer. We're going to add the archer to my lineup over here, adding it to my leader and putting it into one of my spawn zones. Any of these spawn zones on the board, we're going to place it down over there. That's my turn. A new character is going to come out. We have the hermit and the cub. Let's find those characters in this little thing. We have our hermit, we have our cub. The hermit and the cub basically don't really have any abilities, but they come with two characters. So that's their ability. They have two characters they can utilize. There you go. That's going to be a basic turn. The opposing leader can go. Again, they can take their own move. We're going to move forward as well. And they're going to go ahead and take the rider over here. Because this guy over here is going to be able to move 2 spots in a straight line, which means they can rapidly close the gap as they have this character. And then once again, we'll refill it with a card from the supply. This time we have the protector in play. Let's just find the protector, put it out, and then walk through more of the basic rule set. This is what you're trying to do. You're going to be activating your characters. On your next turn, for example, I can go ahead and activate my leader, but I can also activate my archer before drafting another character. All your characters can activate, but you only have so many characters. Once you get to 5 characters, including your leader, you're no longer drafting anymore. So you're working your way up from your leader to slowly expanding to 5 total characters while trying to take down your opposing leader. The way you do that is having 2 of your characters touching your opponent's leader. Once you do that, you win the game. But that's going to be a dance back and forth of trying to position your characters and your leader, having the opponent move their characters around the board, trying to avoid capture, while moving towards you to try to capture your own leader, and constantly putting people on the defensive as you play. The hook of the game is going to be the vast array of asymmetric characters that you're going to be drafting to build your little army, because every combination of characters is different. The archer can capture from 2 spaces away. So if we have an archer over here, let's just throw another character on the board. If I have one of my characters over here, plus the archer in a straight line 2 away, I can capture the opposing leader. It gives me some flexibility, especially as they're trying to protect their leader in with some of their forces. The rider over here charges forward rapidly, allowing them to close the distance and corner in your opposing leader much faster. Then you have characters like the manipulator, who can move a non-adjacent enemy in a straight line by 1 space. They can basically move your opponent, so they can look across the board, move someone out of the way, and then move in through the gap, or whatever it is you're trying to structure. All these characters are going to give asymmetric abilities, so it's up to you how you build and develop your army as you try to figure out what the most efficient way to capture the opposing leader is. That's the game. It's pretty straightforward as far as how to play the game. You have a leader, you take actions, then you draft a new character, unless you have 5 characters already, in which case you don't draft a new character, and you're trying to basically utilize your character's abilities to capture your opposing leader before they capture yours. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot more to go into. Let's go ahead and dive into my thoughts on what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like. The simplicity of the game is a big part of it for me. This game is incredibly easy to teach. It comes in a beautiful little box, by the way. I love this little, you have this kind of a tray. It's a tray that fits into the middle, so you can have your characters sliding into the bottom of the box while having the board and the cards in the top of the box. I just like that. It works nicely. It gives you a lot of things, very, very nice components. These are nice, large plastic standees with a little wood base to hold them. All of that works very well, keeping this as a very budget-friendly game that offers a lot of tactical strategy in this box. The tactical strategy is a big part of it. The way you draft your characters, that's a big thing. You're looking at what your characters draft, your opponent is drafting, because what you draft does matter. If you have certain characters, I'm more inclined to draft different characters to both further my own goals while also playing defense and offense at the same time, based on what works well together on my end, but also what I see you're doing and what might get in that way. And so the character drafting is a huge part of the game. It is the game. Without that, this is a very dry game without that core element of trying to combine your characters in interesting ways to utilize their roster of abilities better than your opponent is able to do so on their end. It's a very straightforward system as far as how it works, but the small closed-in board means you don't ever outstay your welcome. There's only so much that can happen on this board. Eventually someone is going to be captured either through a combination of cool abilities or possibly through attrition, but it is going to result in having very fast sessions where you build your little army, go head to head, and then rinse and reset. It's a very challenging, very rewarding game. Overall, the clean design, the simple rule set, all of that just makes it a game that's easy to teach, easy to play, easy to pack, put away, set up. It's an accessible, strategic, variable, abstract strategy game. As far as what I don't like in the game, the only real complaint I have, based on what this game is trying to do, and based on the only things that I would feel about it, is some characters just don't feel as fun as others. I'm not even saying they're not necessarily as powerful as others. I don't know if I feel that. I don't know if I... The combination of abilities are so important in the game that you can't just look at a single character and say they are or aren't better. You kind of have to look at how they can all work together with others. If a character is a little weaker on its own, but it helps augment other characters, that makes it stronger in its own right. And so comparing a character one-to-one as far as their abilities and how good they are, that's hard to do. What I can say, fairly confidently, because I'm not talking about balance here, I'm just saying there's some characters that are less fun. And so there's a nice lineup of characters that are very, very fun and challenging as far as what they add to the table, and some are just like, okay, like for example, the Hermit and the Cub over here. It's very efficient. You have an extra character on the board. For positioning purposes, that gives you a lot of control of how to get things up. The Cub can't actually capture, but it can get in the way and really force things into whatever lanes you're trying to get them in. I just find it less fun. And that's true for a few of the characters in the game that are just less interesting than others. That's my only real complaint. Some characters are more fun than others. As far as I can see others not liking, as much as I won't complain about balance because I think it's very hard to comment on balance in a game like this, you might have this perception of characters being overpowered or alternatively balanced combinations working out, and some of that stuff's not necessarily in your control. If you draft a character and the next character comes out is what you perceive to be as the best, strongest character in the game, well then I can just draft that character and you didn't even have the option to get there first. And so that kind of, or even if you talk about power combinations, if you have a character pop out that combines nicely with your army and I don't, you could have perceptions of the luck of the draw and how that affects the balance of the game, either through a direct single character or through how character abilities combine. Either way, there's a lot of control, but definitely a little bit of luck and possibly balance or balanced perceptions there. I'll also say that I mentioned that sometimes games can end through attrition to a degree, and attrition might be the wrong word, but basically sometimes you feel really clever as you make things happen. Other times you just box people in until eventually they can't move. That can be a little less satisfying overall. It still is a very fast game that doesn't really bother me that much, but you can have games where it doesn't really come down to a quick end. It comes down to, well, you can't move and eventually in 2 turns you'll be caught, but let's play this out and see how it goes. Those could be slightly less fun endings. As far as final thoughts on leaders, I love this game. It's so simple, it's so straightforward. There's not a ton of things to go into about what the game is doing, how it works, not a ton of things to go into the rules, or even what I like and don't like. There's not a ton. But what there is works really well. This is an abstract strategy game with variable powers that I thoroughly enjoy trying to combine all the powers in different ways and trying to build my own little army better than my opponent while watching the board unfold as we do so. As far as what it's trying to do, I think it knocks it out of the park. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Mythic Mischief if you want another abstract strategy game that has asymmetric player powers. And this also kind of gave me vibes of War Chest, the way you kind of build your little armies together while dealing with an abstract strategy and a little bit of a different kind of a system going on. Well, a very different kind of system, but it definitely gave me strong vibes of War Chest as well. I mentioned earlier the channel sponsor. Allplay is a site where you can get a variety of great games. One that might be worth checking out, specifically related to this one, is Azure. Azure is available for pre-order, and that's another 2-player abstract strategy game that I've thoroughly enjoyed. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this review helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.